We've still got some amazing speakers coming to the stage. But I really wanted to start this session and, think about what we learned this morning. We talked about that psychoneuroimmunology, the autonomic nervous system, about that last 30%. We birthed this last 30%. Actually, we started in Glastonbury 12 months ago, summer solstice last year. Versha came to join us and we sat there and said, I think this is where advanced practitioners should go. And Versha sat there and said, do you think it'll be well received? And we said, well, we're going to give it a go. So far, I think you're doing a good job because everybody in this room is ready to receive. That's nothing to do with us. That's to do with you. Now, I promised you a deep dive, and a deep dive meaning I have to go somewhere real. I have to go somewhere I've maybe not gone before. I am Jo Gamble, and many of you have read my bio. It says I'm the first UK's functional medicine practitioner. I am the geek. I have spent decades buried in research papers. And if anybody really knows me, I sometimes send those research papers out at 2 a.m. in the morning. And I love them. I love them with every bone in my body. Some of you have received them at 2 a.m. in the morning. But I'm not here today to be that person. I'm here today to be real. I'm here to show you what happened when the data wasn't enough, when I had to become something more than a scientist, when I had to become whole. I asked the question this morning, but now I want to tell you what it actually cost to believe it. Because for years, I didn't. I hid behind the science. I hid behind the labs. I hid behind the protocols. And I was good at it. Really good. My patients got results. My practice grew. On paper, everything was working. But there were cases, you know the ones, where I had done everything. I'd done everything right. The protocol was elegant. The biochemistry made sense. And the patient was still sitting in front of me. Still unwell, still stuck. And I felt in my body this creeping sense of failure, of inadequacy, of what am I missing? And here's what I want to confess in front of a room full of people, a room full of advanced practitioners. My response to that feeling was to study harder, to get some more letters to go after my name, to order more tests, to go deeper into the science, because that's where I felt safe. That's where I felt in control. But that wasn't the answer. The answer was in me. Not in what I knew, in who I was being in the room. I remember a specific moment, and I won't give you the clinical details. Chris is going to deliver you a clinical case. But I remember sitting with that patient who had been everywhere, had seen multiple practitioners before she came to see me. She'd done everything. She'd seen the best. And she looked at me and said, I don't need another protocol. I need someone to see me. That was the day it all changed. It broke something open in me. Because I realized I had been so busy being clever that I'd forgotten to be present. So focused on solving the puzzle that I'd stopped feeling the person. That patient didn't need my intellect. She didn't need my humanity. She needed me to put down my pen and actually be there, to sit in the discomfort of not knowing, to let silence do the work that a supplement couldn't touch. And that terrified me, because I built my whole career on knowing. So here's the tension I lived in, and maybe you live in it too. I am a scientist. I love evidence. I respect rigor. I will never abandon that. I don't think any of us should. For years, I dismissed that. I thought it was unscientific, unprofessional, soft. I thought I couldn't cite it. I couldn't trust it. But the complicated cases taught me otherwise. They taught me that the science gets you into the door, something else opens it. Call it intuition, call it clinical insight, call it arcs. I had to learn to hold both, the geek and the healer, the researcher and the intuitive, the head and the heart. And when I finally stopped choosing between them, when I let myself be all of it, my practice transformed. My patients transformed, and honestly, I transformed. This is what I know to be true after all these years. You cannot take a patient deeper than you've gone yourself. If you haven't sat with your own pain, you will unconsciously avoid theirs. If you haven't faced your own shadows, you will miss theirs. If you haven't done the work of becoming whole, not perfect, then it is a ceiling on what you can offer. And I say this with love. I say this as a practitioner. I say this as a whole human. The moment I started doing my own deep work, the breath work, the somatic processing, the spiritual growth, the uncomfortable truth-telling, everything shifted. Not just in me, but in my patients, because they could feel it. The nervous system doesn't lie. When you are regulated, when you are present, when you are authentic, their system recognizes safety. And in that safety, the body finally tells the truth. This is resonance medicine, not a modality, not a technique. It's the practitioner becoming the instrument. And the more finely tuned you are, the more extraordinary the medicine becomes. So what does this look like on Monday morning? I asked Patrick, I asked Ashok. It looks like the first 30 seconds. Before you've asked a question, before you've opened the notes, you chose to arrive fully. Not thinking about the last patient that you saw before, not scanning ahead to what you're going to eat for dinner tonight. It's where you are with this person, this moment. It looks like noticing when your own body responds, a tightening, a shift in your breathing, and trusting the information as clinical data. It looks like the courage to say, something just shifted when you said that. Can we just stop there? Can we just make space for that shift? It looks like allowing the silence and not filling in those awkward moments. This is the art, and it requires everything of us. It requires that we are regulated enough to hold dysregulation, honest enough to create space, brave enough to step outside of the algorithm. I am the UK's first functional medicine practitioner. I am the geek. I love the research papers. I went on my personal journey. In fact, that young lady stood up there is why I am here today. That's my daughter, who 20 years ago is what turned me to functional medicine. I will never not be that person, but I can't be my authentic self without going on my journey and really being able to take those complicated patients to the next level. So, this is not about abandoning the science, but let yourself be more than it. I would like to bring my friend and colleague to the stage to take us on a human story, a human journey. She walks you through it. I want you to feel for both things. Where's the science and where's the art? And where did the practitioner's wholeness become the medicine? Thank you.